Hello and welcome back to Sabotage the DM. We're really glad to have you guys with us. An awful lot has taken place in the last two sessions. We were expecting this to be a one-shot. This has developed instead into a three-shot. So thank you all for continuing to tune back in and come along and watch us play and have some fun. So we are Sabotage the DM, and this is going to be episode 3 of Jack's Funhouse, and I'll be your host and your DM, Jon Cooper. I'm just going to introduce our players very quickly. We've got Rowan with us. We've got Sibs. Amelia at the moment is unable to join, so I will be role-playing her character for the time being, which is going to be an interesting approach, I think. I'm really going to make some alterations, make the character my own. If she's able to join in with us later, then we'll just slide straight back in and carry on so seamlessly, it's insane. And obviously introducing our final player, Guy. For some strange reason, Guy, you're always in my head with your full name. You're always Guy Kelly, not just Guy.
A lot of people say that. It's Guy Kelly.
Yeah, it's a real strong name game.
But possibly because my first name is so incredibly generic. Like, we've got this guy. Sure, cool. You need to add something to it so people think, oh, it is actually a person rather than a cardboard cutout of someone without a face.
A placeholder of a person.
Yeah.
You're not in any respect.
When my mother gave birth, she was like, we'll do better next time. And she did.
Oh, my days.
God.
So, guys, how's your days been? I don't know about you, but I think it's a bit hot, isn't it?
It is.
A little bit. Trifle warm.
A bit hot. I mean, I
haven't been outside yet, so I have no idea.
You're not. You just not left the house.
Both of my cats have melted and just started like wicking into the rug. Nice. I've no idea how I'm going to get them out.
Have you guys got any tips or tricks for those who are following along at home who may need some ideas of how to cool down in such a hot heat? I thought I'd come to you guys the experts.
Something I watched, I think it was on like a religious cable type channel. They advised to run your wrists under a cold tap, and it actually works.
That's really good, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't listen to the rest of what they said unless you choose to. But yeah, that bit works.
We've got a paddling pool, despite the fact there's no one in this house under the age of 22. So that's a strong look.
I put a
feel
little
really guilty for just. Oh, I just have a fan.
I've got
plugged
a fan
into my computer. Me. Okay, good. Top tip: get a fucking fan before they all sell out on Amazon. That's for sure.
Again.
I put a tiny bowl of water outside for the birds, and not one bird has got in it. And I'm just sitting, staring at it, thinking, "Fuck you, you feathery little bastards."
Did you leave the cap on? Because that's about, what they're supposed to do.
They can't unscrew it.
Although that would have been funny.
Oh.
Come on, guys,
Crows
evolve.
are pretty clever. Crows are pretty clever. So give them a 15 minutes or so, and they can probably get into that thing.
Crows exhibit meta-tool use, using tools on tools in order to get things.
They also pass information to other crows about human beings.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they did a study. Really weird. We can circle back to this. The crows did a study and passed it on to humans.
But, by the way, guys, you've got a lot wrong.
We've had a look at it, right?
Oh my days. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Jack's Funhouse. This is a very much a community channel, and we do encourage you guys to hit us up with any questions, any comments that you have, because then we can incorporate them into the stream, and also just have a chat with you guys and hang out, because that's part of the fun. So yeah, if you want to say anything at any point, please do let us know. Please do hit us up in the chat. Obviously, we would love it as well if you guys enjoy what you see today. Then check out the doobly-doo down below. Give us a like or subscribe, or send us a hug. Give us an email. Send a raven. Not a crow, they're too clever, and they're probably busy undoing water bottles. And we have our first comment from Wilberforce, who just says, "Thanks, John." No, thank you, Wilberforce. I've got Drinrid asking for more COVID content, please. COVID?
No, COVID, as in...
COVID.
No,
more COVID.
No idea what COVID is, but...
What is COVID?
This isn't the news. This is not the news. Dan Berman has joined us as well. Hey, good to see you, Dan. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's good to be getting some responses in. That's nice. Sometimes being on the internet can feel a little bit like you are kind of yelling into a tin can. So to know that there's people out there giving us a wave and a thumbs up is really appreciated. So, the show. Happy Jack's Funhouse. We need to do a little bit of a recap on where on earth we're up to, because this has been a mammoth one-shot. Let's start by, we know that you guys as adventurers were met by, in a town that had experienced an anarchic, strange, and evil clown's presence. It had thrown open a satchel that it had brought into town with it, and from that had emerged Happy Jack's Funhouse. All the children that had entered had mysteriously disappeared and never come back out. Enlisting the help of these extraordinary adventurers, they basically just kind of suckered you guys. Did you even ask for like gold as a result of?
I think we're just going.
You just went in.
Just at a loose end.
Yeah.
All right, clown murder house.
I'll just kind of do anything.
Now better to do.
Do you know what? I've got a long weekend. I'm not doing anything. Let's go into a clown's murder house. Yeah, that sounds like fun.
It's either that or stream Fantasy Friends again for like the fourth time.
I was promised dangerous beasts. I was promised dangerous things to kill. That's as much. I mean, that's what gets me out of bed every day.
Oh yeah, Toshik wants to get their chomp on.
Same.
I remember.
So during that first session, as they entered the funhouse, they came across many strange, mysterious, and curious things. They kept running into very aggressive adults, and also met some strange monsters along the way. One of which was Bubby the were-hippo, half were, half hippo, and the never-ending pit of 5 foot. Happy days. happy days. The last session, however, saw these guys doing the following. It began in a ball pit under which they were not sure exactly what was hidden. It was huge, monstrous, kept eating and farting, and they didn't want to investigate it as it was a little bit too terrifying. Veering off to their right-hand side, they went and got themselves involved with a dunking. Do any of you guys remember this? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you tell me what happened?
I mean, I think I using my expert killer skills as always. Got my crossbow made of tiny bones out and just, dead on, hit center, happened to hit him right into the bucket of liquid that nearly melted him, turned him younger, and then Asha just pushed him back in because they were annoying.
Yeah, it turns out
he wasn't young enough because we were looking for children.
Oh, I see.
And
I
he
thought
only aged to like 30 odd, and I thought maybe we'll go again. But then he just disappeared.
Yeah, if you're gonna dose with like the water of eternal youth or similar, don't eyeball it. Like, make sure you, really use the special little syringe or plastic spoon that it comes with, because otherwise you get goop.
We have tried and tested that method.
Many
times.
Let's get to this. So so you guys basically there was an old man that was dunked this water. They then emerged as a sort of a younger man. They were very annoying. So you pushed them back into the water and completely de-aged them.
So it still worked.
Until they were good. Yes, this is it. But it started a trend that you guys then continued on, because you then moved into a giant hall of mirrors where you met a fisherman who tried to capture Toshik in his net. But rather than have a conversation, you de-aged him. Because, I mean, why not de-age? But, I mean, maybe I'm being unfair to you guys. You should probably tell me what happened when you came across what's known as the Am Viper, half woman, half snake.
I mean, what happens every time we come across anything?
When the going gets tough, the tough get de-aging.
This is it.
With a crossbow in the eye.
Yeah.
And a crossbow in the eye. This episode is sponsored by a crossbow in the eye and de-aging. You guys then took, you took your metal in your hand. You steeled your metal. Something to do with metal. A common turn of fantasy phrase.
Our loins were so damn girded.
I thought you were going to say our loins are so damn metal then.
Yours aren't?
You girded your loins and you threw yourselves down a slide, narrowly missing plunging into what looked like some sort of planular disruption. Arriving at the bottom, you then decided to go up a series of doors that were available to you, each of them with individual markings on. You very well may come across this room again. And you decided to take one particular door, one door which led you up to a game of hopscotch and a tear in a planular rift. Now, I seem to remember, Toshik, you had a bit of a difficulty there, didn't you?
Toshek fundamentally does not know how to play hopscotch, so decided that the best thing to do would be to cheat using magic, because it's how you play games. It's certainly how I play games. And proceeded to roll a natural 1 on his hopscotch roll, which I don't know for you at home. Natural 1 on hopscotch means you fall off the edge.
And into a planular rift.
And into a planular rift, depending on on how complex your board is.
I lost many childhood friends the exact same way. So with Toshek now plunging into a planular rift, Asha tried to leap forwards and save them. Now, Asha, how far into this rift are you at the moment?
Elbow deep. Elbow deep, baby.
Elbow deep. You're like a vet.
Yeah, like a farmer. I'm trying to get a calf out. About that deep so far.
Right. That brings us up to date. We're about to find out what's going to happen with Toshek and the Planular Rift in a second or two. But before we begin that, there are 2 things we have left to do. The first is to thank the writers of this module, who are Jeff C. Stevens and Remley Farr. It is available on DM's Guild if you want to take this away and play this with your friends. They have a number of great ones out there. There's also one called Tasha's Kiss, which I've been looking at, and I'm hoping we might have an opportunity to be able to put in this channel. Anyone who may not have been able to know their names, and also, can you give us a 90s style montage of the types of things that have happened in their life and in the game previously? Okay, I'm going to start with you, Amelia. Amelia? No, okay. We'll come back to Amelia while I think about what on earth I'm going to improvise there. So we're going to go across, and can I ask you, Rowan, to start?
Damn it. Yeah, okay, that's good. This is good. So we're going to start. Slow fade from black. It's like gentle, soft, sad music. And a single spotlight shines onto the top of a tiny, tiny little baby copper dragonborn. And she's very thin. She's probably about the size of a 6-year-old human, which means that she's maybe 2 days old. And she's clutching a tiny little raggedy mouse, which is stuffed with leaves, and they're coming out, and she looks very thin and hungry and wiry. And then smash cut, we see her running through the forest. We've got drums coming in, snare, cowbells starting in the background. She's charging up a mountain. Smash cut again. She's pressing a tree. Smash cut again. She's cutting someone in half. Star wipe. She turns to face the camera in her full 260 kilo adult glory and does a small smile.
And underneath her name reads
Asha.
Wow, that was an amazing start. Sid, that's an act to follow.
Shit the bed. The scene slowly opens on a small clutch of lizard eggs. And one little leg just click, 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 cracks open, and a cute little lizard comes out. And then you see the next egg just cracking open, and a second cute little lizard comes out. And then the first little lizard consumes and eats the second lizard. And that lingers on that shot for a little while as all of the different eggs crack open.
Uncomfortably too long.
Yeah, uncomfortably, as like 26 lizard eggs crack open whilst the one eats the rest of them. As see Toshek getting slightly older, you see him tying all the little bones of his little brothers and sisters that he spat out into making a small crossbow, which over the years just cuts from shots of him with shooting things and then crafting a crossbow out of their bones, all the way into the Funhouse, where so far he has shot everything except for one other individual in the eye.
Oh my god. The chat's currently kicking off with so much love for this. Thank you. I'm going to go to Pop now. So it begins, and it's a dark, dark room. And in the distance, you hear tiny, tiny footsteps. Hi! I'm Pop! Can I be your friend? Pop. And now with yourself, guys.
Okay, picture the scene. It's a gnome village. Yes, this is me playing the Street Fighter 2 Guile thing. It's diegetic gnome music. It's a loving couple, Mama and Papa Gnome. He never knew their names. A big-eyed gnome looks up at them and he says one word: plumbing. And then it's a series of like very quick cuts, and you see Eel the gnome tinkering with things, ruining people's just lives generally. Whatever they've got going on, any mechanical apparatus, he gets his hands on it and he thinks it's going to work. So you've got an area where people are cooking and then sort of blink of an eye and then it's on fire. You've got a gnome trying to wash itself in a shower. Bam! Freezing cold water. Naked gnome with shriveled genitals running around going, ah! Eventually, they've had enough. They bin off Eel the gnome into a monastery because God knows monks can't hurt people, especially not in the D&D world. Over time, he edges his skills, he hones them, he becomes a master of Kai and water. So he is very much a plumber, but not with pipes. And then, after pissing off everyone in the monastery, he's also binned out from there and finds himself in a village with a rapacious lizard human, dragon that misses a leaf mouse, and some sort of ridiculously happy child's name.
My days. Okay. People in the chat are like, we remember this show. Like, I've seen this back in the 90s. There I was playing Pogs with myself, and I remember tuning into this. It was on Fuzzy Channel 5. So, ladies and gentlemen, shall we play some D&D?
Yeah!
Yes!
Yeah. Okay, Happy Tech Funhouse. Joe, you can kick us over to Roll 20 if you're happy with it. We have no yawning tale. And tumbled into this and had begun to fall. The rift was too wide for them to be able to jump deftly across. And so it is that we find Asha leaning over, heroically trying to grab at Toshek's arm. So let's begin by saying you have stretched forwards and you're trying to meaning, can you give me I'm going to say that the two of you are able to grasp hands and you're trying to pull them. Actually, hold on. First, what happens is Toshek begins to fall, his body tumbling in slow motion. Everybody's faces are seen over the top of the tear and the seam. And then Toshek suddenly feels himself start to slow in his descent. He looks down and he can see a giant tree with children and an enormous clown dancing around. And the clown looks up and nah. Toshek, his eyes wide as this is the biggest prey that he has ever seen, then bounces miraculously back up into the air. He slows for a second, begins to descend, and then bounces ever so slightly higher. At this point, he starts to sort of reach across and up, and then all of a sudden, he's able to grasp Asha's hand. Asha, can you give us our first roll of this session, which will be a strength? It's a 22. Okay.
She's strong.
Into it how you manage to pull Toshek from this annular tear.
So she's reaching down, getting all chalky and having a nasty time, and sees the bouncing and sort of starts. You can see her head if you were watching from behind. You'd see her going like this, and then on the third one, she dives her hand in, shooks it down, and he grabs it, and she just yanks and tosses him behind because she's so strong. He's like, bam.
Bam! Fantastic. Toshek, how do you respond?
I am. Can I, while she grabs me to throw, what Toshek really would like to do is get his fishing line out and try and hook a child.
Okay, cool. Yep, go for it.
What am I going to roll for?
If you get 3,
line?
you win a goldfish.
That's my hope. I was like, this is nearly a fairground. I am proficient in it.
Okay, so what is it when you do your? Oh my God, that's 24.
That is a natural 20 with my fishing line.
Okay. So, with the natural 20, this is really difficult to describe. So your fishing line goes down.
Yeah, I've got one hand up.
It seems to vibrate, and then it kind of like knocks back and forth through this sort of barrier. and then down, and you see one of the children sort of breaks away from dancing around the tree, and she turns back and she goes, "Jack, look, look," and grasps hold of it. So you have a child on a hook. What would you like? Never in my life did I think I would say the words "you have a child on a hook."
So at this point, I believe Ash has probably thrown me behind. So I've hooked a child and then been thrown. So for the rest of them, they just see Toshek flying out of a rift, holding onto a fishing line. And I will shout out for help. I'm going to shout, "Asha, I've got one."
Oh!
So you guys, I think you all rolled and cleared this one. So I mean, if you can move your tokens over to the other side, please. We're going to say that you guys will basically like skip over this section because it is one long planular rift. So you'll be moving up the corridor in essence.
Oh.
And then if you guys want to assist Toshek in any way, absolutely feel free.
I'll just grab hold of him again.
Cool. In which case, then give us a strength, and let's see where we end up.
Oof!
Oh, you strain with all of your might, and Toshek kind of looks back at you.
I've actually got hold of my own arm.
I'd like to cast elemental attunement just to use create a little shower of sparks in a really sarcastic celebration for that. If I can.
Go on, tell us a little bit what it sounds like. It looks like.
So I've just seen Eel's just seen that sort of the tugging fail. Eel sort of rolls his eyes, goes, and then as he goes, just surrounding Toshek and Asha, there's this little of sparkles hits the floor.
Asha has no concept of sarcasm whatsoever, and she's delighted. She was worried that she looked silly, but that's made her feel much better.
So you've on the other end of the line, the child that has grabbed hold has gone whee and shot up into the air, and they hit the barrier, and then they begin to bounce up and down as you pull more on the fish sort of hook and the line. Yeah. And it's impossible that something of that size would be able to slip through at this point. Meantime, the kids basically having a load of fun, like they're at a sort of trampoline warehouse, available now in an area near you. We've got wall-to-wall trampolines.
I mean, I'm going to keep trying to wind into this child. I care nothing for its feelings.
It slowly starts to reach a point where it's straining because it's being pulled up against the barrier.
Has the hook pierced its flesh? Has it pierced its hand?
Tasha, this is a little on the disturbing side. No.
Hey, look,
the child has gone from cackling with glee to actually being genuinely concerned.
Right, I think we might be sort of barking up the wrong proverbial weird planar rift with this one.
So, Toshek's going to have a look around and see that his compatriots are not not really being of much help here. Just going to give one last pull on the old. Sorry, someone's just put Toshek the child catcher lollipops. Obviously, Toshek has used the wrong bait, which he realizes to catch children. That's not going to work. So he'll reel in his fishing line, knowing that next time he needs to have the right bait.
Okay, fantastic. So you guys find yourselves in a long corridor that stretches downwards. At the end of it, you can hear a I'm so alone. What would you like to do?
Pop, this sounds like the thing you've been waiting for your entire life.
It is. What's up?
It sounds like somebody needs some company, maybe even a friend, dare I say it.
Pop to the rescue! So Pop charges her way down the corridor, and at the end, what she finds is a small crying girl, and she's wearing a little name tag that says Sally, and it's spelled Sallie.
That's just insufferable. I'm good.
I rage quit this game.
Yeah. As I've said, I've already loaded the crossbow, and no, I'm just. I'm at the back. I'm not the first one there.
Okay, So Pop goes forwards to interact with the young girl, and she's like, "Hello, are you Sally?" And Sally goes, "Yes, of course I'm Sally."
Well, I think I've worked out why she's alone.
Thank you for watching Sabotage the DM, where we're unfathomably cruel to children.
It's like when my mum used to say, "This is why you don't have any friends."
Oh,
Don't pity me. It made me the man I am today.
Yeah, I'm not too.
the lonely man.
A sad, angry man.
So Pop leans in and she basically kind of tries to console this poor. Oh God, I'm so bad at multitasking. Obviously, it's flawless. You can definitely not see that I'm looking.
Seamless.
This is what
absolutely
everyone. Yeah, yeah.
seamless.
This
And
is
then
what
they-
everyone's tuned in for today, is
I
to see
know.
John have conversations with John.
Yeah. No. Well, usually there's a break when I can talk to someone else. And then look, see, I can't even speak. That's how unfathomably bad at multitasking I am.
It's literally
okay.
called Sabotage the DM, like we're not going to fuck you over.
This is a-
We asked
We
We
told
asked
her.
Amelia not to
Told
join.
her, don't do it.
So leaning into Sally, she goes, "Why is it that you're so lonely?" And Sally goes, "They kicked me out. I was dancing with the other children around the tree. I was the best dancer, and they kicked me out. And I hate them. I hate them all." Pop kind of puts her arm around her and looks at the rest of you.
How did they kick you out? Like, where did you? Where is out?
They kicked me out of the plannular split down there.
Aren't you a little young to know what a
Really?
plannular split is?
Aren't you a little ugly to know what a plannular split is?
Hey, hey, hey,
Right,
now,
we
hey.
Hey, you don't say hey to me. I'm not a horse.
This
That's
tiny
nay.
bone crossbow is on a hair trigger. I tell you, Sally's got 2 strikes.
Okay. Asha's going to step forward.
Yes.
Between the crossbow and the child.
She moves ever so slightly back, and as she does,
Good.
you realise there's a little pool of water near where that's dripping
Water?
from
Oh,
above. It's coming down from the ceiling.
okay.
Can someone give me? Well, actually, don't worry. I mean,
Ash-
yeah. Go on.
Asha's going to say, why did they kick you out?
They said I was annoying, but I'm not annoying. I'm really lovely and beautiful and nice.
Okay. Can I make a perception? This is the first child we've seen.
It is the first child you've seen, correct?
I'm confused.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I just make a perception check to see what
Yeah.
what's going on around
Yeah. Give us a
this
perception roll.
exciting child?
This miracle child. Okay, so you can tell that yes, she is indeed a child, and there appears that you know that she is a child. Yeah, it appears that there's nothing untoward about her. She's just incredibly annoying. You also know, because you've got pretty good sense of the sort of perception and positioning, that the water that is coming down, you're probably stood below where the dungeon was.
I knew. I'm going to turn to the other guys and go, I knew it wasn't enough water. I knew it. And I'm going to cross my arms. I'm not saying anything else for a minute.
Toshek, Eel?
Can I just ask the child, when they kicked you out, were you sitting under that drip of water just to sort of complete the look of somebody who's a bit sad and damp and despondent, or have you not touched it since you've been out of the planar rift?
No, I haven't touched it since I've been out of the plannular rift. And she grabs hold of your leg and she's kind of like holding on to it now, and she looks up at you and she goes, I've been so alone. And people say they don't like me, but I'm the best and they just don't understand. When I was with all of the other children and with Jack, we were having such fun. And now it's cold and lonely and boring and your leg is smelly.
All right, I know my leg is smelly. I'll tell you what, would it cheer you up if I gave you one of my favourite toys from when I was young? Because I know what it's like to be left on my own.
Would it ever? Yes, please.
And Eel reaches from his backpack and just produces a crowbar.
She's like slightly shocked and sort of takes it and goes, "I love it," and she hits you in the groin.
Oh, that's old.
And you're gonna take a D4 of bludgeoning damage. 4 points of bludgeoning damage. Jesus Christ.
How tall is said child?
I mean, she's about sort of 6 or 7, I think.
And how tall is a gnome?
Probably about 3 or 4 foot.
Okay. So I mean, obviously, Eel, had jumped or something.
Yeah,
So,
cool.
he carries himself very tall.
Yeah, child's on the floor.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
She just went to her belly.
This is a fantasy game, and you're quibbling. You're not like, here we are in this demonic funhouse. No, you're like, can you please get the dimensions of these characters correct?
I'm just trying to visualize it in my mind, and the fact that she was hugging his meant that she was like the size of a Ken doll to hug his tiny little leg.
Guys. That's all I want.
Anyway.
Right. So yeah, she's hit you in the crotch. Eel, what would you like to do?
I mean, I know what I'd like to do, which is redirect the flow of water to turn her into goop, because nobody messes with eels.
Might work.
That's even better. I think I should take the crowbar off her and remonstrate, saying, "That's not very nice, is it?"
You're not very nice. And with that, she runs away down the corridor. And there's another sort of like small hidey hole off to the left-hand side, and she kind of crawls her way in and disappears.
I was really looking for a reaction to try and rehook a child.
Okay, so Pop goes, oh no, we lost a friend. Oh well, on we go. So you guys find that the corridor snakes around to your left-hand side. What would you guys like to do?
Is that which way did the child go? To the left?
Down in that direction.
I would like to follow the child.
Great. So you guys
are one success.
Can I just gather some of the dripping water in my water skin that was previously emptied?
Yes, of course, because you're going to refizz children and adults.
Oh man,
you can't have enough goop water.
Could Eel turn to Toshek and say, I don't know if you're the sort of one to play about with poisons and that, but have you considered maybe dipping your crossbow bolts in that? It could sort of be like poison, only it would make people young or goo if you do it too much. What do you reckon?
I would like to. Toshek will just lick Eel's face with a smile and a glint in his eye.
Twinkle in his eye.
Twinkle in his eye, offering guidance to Eel and whatever happens next. But having collected some of that water, we'll be dipping the crossbow bolt and reloading it.
Fantastic. Cool. So can you guys move your character tokens around, please? I shall move Pop forwards. So you Pop moves forwards to inspect the hole that young Sally disappeared into, and finds that it's sort of closed up on itself, so that it now, like, you could only see sort of down it, and down the other end you can just see an eye staring back at you, and you hear a and she disappears. In front of you is another planular rift. And just beyond it is a sort of step ladder that goes up.
Now, we haven't had a lot of luck with ladders.
If the hole is child size, is that something that a gnome could feasibly get their way through?
It was child size when she went into it, but it's gone much smaller now. In much the same way as when you guys were in the aging room and shot a crossbow bolt down, injuring someone in the eye, Toshek. It's now that sort of size, but there doesn't seem to be any way in the local area or anything to interact with to make it larger again.
We've got no elf poppers to sort of.
Moving on. You have another planular rift and then a sort of like step ladder up ahead of you.
Asha's getting quite frustrated. She's going to make her way forward, but you can see her starting to do like just some little sort of neck rolls. She's doing some breathing. She's upset that she's lost the one child that they did manage to find and that she was so horrible. So it's just worth mentioning that she's starting to get pretty annoyed. But she's going to move forwards towards the planar rift and try and get a bit of a better look at it.
Great. So leaning down and looking into the planar rift, what you can see is you can now see that there's an enormous clown on the other side up against this almost invisible barrier. You can see its giant, sharp teeth and its white gloved hands trying to kind of like push through the barrier, and it's kind of like manically sort of clawing and pulling at it while it's smiling and laughing up at you, going, time to come to Jack!
She's just going to look down and go, we are trying. How far
down, children, come down.
How far down is it?
It's quite a drop. Like it's
Okay.
but obviously the barrier is causing issues at the moment. It has people bouncing back up again.
Yeah, how far away is the barrier?
I've got my windows open and a woman just went past on her bike after I'd done the whole clown thing. She's genuinely horrified as to what the hell I was doing. Oh my days. Sorry, what was the question?
How far away is the barrier from me?
From you would fall directly down, probably about 60 foot.
Okay.
Into Toshek when it happens, but you guys can't seem to get through it. Let's say that.
Yes. No, I was thinking about trying to like slash it open.
Can I throw one of my tiny darts made of bone just at the riff to see, like at the thing that we couldn't get through before, to just see if it's a size thing or a force thing?
Yeah, certainly. So you do that and it goes through the barrier.
Huh.
Size thing.
There seems to be a size thing, and the hook could go through and the dart could go through, but I couldn't, and the child was too big.
Crossbow?
Okay, I mean, you don't have to ask me twice, although I do replace the anti-aging, or anti-aging arrow in you. Anti-aging arrow is now off the crossbow, and I will fire that crossbow into the riff as well.
Okay, cool. So you fire a crossbow down, and it kind of like lands in Jack's shoulder, and you see them for. Can you give me a roll for damage, actually?
Yeah, sure. That's 3.
Yeah.
Should have gone for the anti-aging.
So they kind of go. It lands in their shoulder. You see them go, and you see this enormous tongue come out, wrap itself around the crossbow bowl, and it pulls it out. And then Jack kind of reaches up with a big clawed hand and takes the little arrow bowl and goes, and sort of takes the blood off the end and then throws it off into the distance and then floats their way back down, bouncing on the ground like a balloon that's oversized. And then landing back at the tree and begins to dance once again with the children. I'm just going to add a point of clarity as well. So when you had the child hooked and you were trying to pull them up, I imagine that you probably, how to explain this? The barrier itself felt like it was permeable by that person, by a child, but not at that point.
Ooh.
Correct.
So yeah, cryptic. I'm going to relay that slightly cryptic information that I don't understand to the other people in the team, and just going to go about dabbing the rest of my darts into the anti-aging. So all of my darts are anti-aging for now.
Okay, cool. So you've got the corridor that stretches back in the other direction, and then in front of you, you've got the plane itself, the split, and then you've got a ladder that goes up.
Right, I don't know about you folks. I don't really fancy this floor clown sort of creature. I might just nip over the rift and see what's up that ladder. What do you folks think?
Agreed.
Okay, so you step your way forward. I'm gonna. Oh, sorry. Were you going to say something, Toshik?
No, I just can't. Now that he said it, I can't imagine not hearing the Mario music as he leaps over a gap and climbs a ladder. Sorry.
Let's go.
It's for me, Mario.
Anyway, sorry, that was all I wanted to say.
You guys, you jump the rift, Eel, and you find yourself on the other side, approaching. Could you move your player character?
Yep, I keep mistaking the scope screen for the actual Roll20 screen because I'm smart. But Eel has now moved.
So you shimmy your way across and you find yourself in front of the ladder. Looking up, you can see a sort of hatch which is unsecured. You can move forwards and try to open it if you'd like.
Yeah, I'd like to take a little peek out that hatch.
So throwing the hatch open, you find yourself... just check. You find yourself in... do you remember, just at the back of the ball pit, there was a series of storage spaces, and you guys found a clown outfit. Yeah. So next to that, where you guys found the clown outfit, there appears to be what was a hidden trapdoor, but is now revealed. So it's taking you in the opposite direction. It's taking you back where you have already previously been.
Okay. Did we keep the clown outfit? I forget. Does anybody have that about their kit?
That's the head.
We kept the head.
Yeah, Pop kept the head.
Because I wonder.
Yeah, I have to say, Botox dropped up in the chat there. Botox is genius. Anti-aging darts. Quality. Thank you. I shall be using that.
That's really good. Okay, so I'm going to jump us forwards ever so slightly. So you can go back up into the funhouse. I'll be honest with you. There's the same stuff up there as how you left it. So usually you would have to beeline back down this corridor because it leads to absolutely nowhere. So I'm going to pop you guys back in the room that you were in the first place, which has symbols on each of the doors. Okay. So you guys entering back into that room find yourselves surrounded by a series of doors. Let me just go down. There we go. So what you've got here is off to the west. You have a series of small holes with track marks leading up and into them. There's sort of cracks and the plaster work has come away. And I think you investigated it previously, didn't you, Asha?
Yeah.
And what was it that you learned when you'd looked into it?
Well, now you're asking. I think all she managed to work out was that she wasn't going to fit. That was what she was investigating.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then, cool. And then, so down to the south, there are two possible doors. The first one that you have has a symbol of a pair of scissors on it. The second door, which you'll find, which is more off to the southeast, that has a little symbol on it of like a makeup brush. And then there was to the north, the door that you guys went through previously, which had a hopscotch on it. Where would you like to go?
Personally, I quite fancy the door with the scissors. I just like looking at little mechanical things, you know. It makes me feel a lot more comfortable than such as a makeup brush because of my upbringing.
Asha didn't understand the last bit, but she agrees with scissors and she's just going to walk towards the door.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
So you guys start to head in that direction.
Was that the south? Yeah.
The door, it's the one just there. Can you guys see that ping? Yeah. So you start to head directly in that direction. You can go through the door now. I'm throwing it open. There's a multitude of hanging covers and thread. There's little darning needles and tiny bits of sort of hair that are caught up in this enormous flowing robed materialed corridor. You have to push your way through, and so eventually it begins to get darker and darker, and you sort of descend down the sort of slope until you reach an area which it feels incredibly high and airy in this space, and you can sort of see some of the material begin to swirl. And it swirls faster and faster and faster and faster until eventually, yes, how can I help you?
Where are the children?
Yeah, the children. Well, that's not my fault. That's Jack's. You probably find them in Deep Barovia.
How do we get there?
Oh, you mean you're not invited?
Well, we're not, but we're very amicable folks, so, you know, I think we'd be quite welcome.
Who are you? I like the look of you.
Well, thank you very much. I've always wanted to meet a sort of fabric snake thing.
Oh, very charming as well. Can you give me a roll for persuasion?
Hang fire. That's a natural 20, I believe.
A natural 20. Wow. Okay. So they
The name's Eel. Eel.
Ooh, you're such a fine one, and it kind of swoops around you and encircles you, and it kind of comes tentatively up your legs, and it's almost as if the material has changed to silk for a moment or two, and it sort of slides its way up, and then comes directly in parallel with your face, and it goes, "Such beauty. You would make a fine, fine cloth, but I'd never do that to you. I like you too much."
Well, I can't tell you how delighted I am to hear that.
And then it's this sort of like material tongue comes out, and it's all sort of like floppy and solid at the same point, and it starts to lick up the side of your face. Toshek, any micro responses to that?
No, I just flick my tongue out in the direction, but I'm still stood in the doorway. I'm not come into this room.
Fine. Okay, so it then sort of like still curled around you, Eel. It then turns to the other members of the party, and it's like, "Eel, darling,
Yes.
which one of them would be the best cloth?"
I've got to be honest with you, I've never really been one for tailoring. I think apparently my great aunt was a seamstress, and my folks never really got on with her, to be honest. I've always been more interested in the sort of slightly more mechanical things, you know what I mean? The more material aspects of the world rather than fabrics. I just can't.
Eel,
Yeah.
you've got such a beautiful voice. Sorry, I didn't know where I was going with that. Choose one of them. Choose one.
Just going to turn around. So, do any of you folks think you'd be any good at being fabric? It's just my friend here. Sorry, what was your name?
I'm the Stitcher.
Right, my friend the Stitcher. He's curious as to if any of you would be any good at being cloth.
Asha shakes her head.
Right, not keen.
Toshek?
Toshek takes out a skinning knife as a kind of, don't you dare try and skin me.
Right, that
Okay.
seems to be the opposite of cloth.
You can see that she admires the tool from a distance, and then she goes back up to Eel again, and she goes, "Eel, my love, if you want to get to Jack, I'm willing to cut a bargain. Just bring me two things that I can stitch together. One needs to be one of your friends." Yes, you'd do that for me, wouldn't you? And the tongue comes back out again and kind of like softly licks your face.
Oh, that's twice in one day. All right. I turn around and go, all right, folks, it looks like the Stitcher will let us go. They just want two things, and apparently one of those things has to be one of yours. So if anybody of you wants to give me like a glove or a bit of fabric that you've got hanging off you, and I'll just give the Stitcher my...
No, it needs to be all of them, Eel. Or at least half of them. They'll stay perfectly happy and safe.
No, that
And
doesn't
the
feel
other
like that was
half
very
can be
specific.
whatever they choose.
Toshek looks down at Pop, who's been strangely silent at this time.
Pop goes, I don't want to offer myself as some sort of half offering, but are there any other routes to get to the children? She asks the Stitcher. The Stitcher goes, well, let me think. They sort of evaporate back into the cloth, and the cloth begins to swirl, and they come back down again. You see the face reform that goes, you could speak to the Serpent Council, or find out how the children got down there. But I didn't tell you that. It's only because I like eels so much.
You said that there are two things that need to stitch together. What's the second one if one of them is one of us?
Whatever you choose. Did you meet the Am Viper? When I met her, she was a normal woman.
I see.
And then we found a snake. And then she became half woman, half snake. Did you meet Bobby?
Yeah, I'm beginning to see where this is going.
Yeah.
He was half were,
Yeah.
half hippo, and then I added him together, and he became a werehippo.
Yeah.
Didn't Bobby bite you?
Ash is going to say, have you done any more? And John?
Not yet. I'm trying. I'm hoping to have the chance. Oh dear. What would you like to do?
Where do we find these councillor snakes that you mentioned?
Oh, they're just down there. She points off towards the east. Through the holes in the wall. I'm sure if you pull away at them, you can make your way through. But be careful. They're not as forgiving as I am. With that, she sort of dissipates back into cloth and disappears back up, and you feel the breeze ascend and become a warm space once again.
Right, folks.
Well, we've got a backup.
Plan B.
That you do.
Yeah.
To the snakes.
To the snakes.
Okay, so you guys head your way back up and across to the entrances. So we're gonna. Do you want to have a quick sort of investigation of the space?
Yeah, I'll roll a perception. I haven't done that in a while.
Oof.
Doesn't really get it much.
12. Okay, so with that, you can tell for sure that there's it's like a crumbling sort of artifice of a wall, and the plaster could possibly pull free.
Right, well, sorry, I don't know that yet. I've not been told. Shut up.
The wall's kind of crumbling, and it looks like, Asha, you could probably pull it apart.
She's just going to go straight for it.
Okay, great. So Asha plunges her way forward, and in which case then can we get
Elbows.
Elbow deep.
Elbow deep all over again.
can I get a strength roll from you for pulling this apart? Strength of 5.
Be a great D&D name for a place.
Yes, my strength has left me.
With all of your strength, you go, and Toshik kind of looks at you.
I'm gonna give you a lick on the face and a pat on the shoulder, and I'm gonna give it a go myself.
As
This is turning into the hole all over again. Toshik attempts it and strains. Nothing moves. This is a little pop, and
can I use my freshly begroined crowbar to give it a bit of a wrench?
Yeah, cool. So give us a roll with that.
Not a wrench.
Is that with not a wrench? Sorry, wrong. Is that a strength check?
With the crowbar, yeah, let's say it's a strength. That's fine.
That's my strength of. Oh, good, -1. Great. Use that. Why don't you?
Before you roll it, I'm going to roll pops.
Cool.
Okay, that's a 15.
Didn't Pops max out last time?
Might have done. Toshik, can you give us yours? Sorry, Eel, can you give us yours?
Mine isn't rolling for some reason. Oh no, I click on the thing. Never mind. Shush. I'm good at this.
nailed it. Seamless.
Wait, no, I don't. Catherine.
On the word strength.
Help. Why isn't it working when I click the word strength? Oh no, it was the word strength. I fixed it. Oh, good. Yeah.
Oh my days. You two try and fail more gloriously and magnificently than previously. So, okay.
You shit yourself with that.
Okay. So pulling away at the plaster, Pop is able to gain enough of a space to be able to squeeze the smaller members of the party through. So you guys can head through into the council. The larger of the party, which I think is probably yourself and Asha. How large are you?
Yeah. Ash is,
Ash is
I'm
6'6".
tall, but I'm tall but scrawny, but I'm still 6 foot.
Okay, so you guys have the opportunity to go and investigate another area whilst you do that.
Ooh.
And we'll try and cut back and forth. Never split the party, they say. Ha! Says
Too
I.
late.
I'm really going to mess this up because whenever I split parties to the party, I get very confused. So we'll see how it
And
goes.
you're also part of one of the split parties.
Yeah, you're
I am.
in that.
So I'm going to shimmy. Although, actually, does this make it too tricky for streaming? Just thinking, for being able to display them. I will let Joe message me if it's going to cause a problem. If I don't hear anything, then I will assume it's fine. We're gonna place Pop through there in a second or two, and then Eel, you're gonna come through as well, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Flirting with more snakes.
Which door would you guys like to go through in the interim? I think it leaves you with just one remaining.
Yeah, it's just the one on the east.
With the brush.
Southeast with the brush, which is just here, if you can see the ping.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. Smart. Yeah, I will follow Asha.
Yeah, she's
always.
like storming ahead. She's when you gave her a lick earlier, it tasted really, really bad. Like really like acrid and almost vinegary, and she's really hot. And she's starting to get like a bit of a sort of green flush traveling up her scales as she storms across to the other side.
Great. Okay, so you guys hover in front of that door for a moment, and we're going to go in and we're going to meet the Snake Council initially. I'm just going to move up in there, and then Eel, you begin to feel and sort of push your way through these tiny little space. You're having to get down, and at one point you have to kind of crawl and just sort of shimmy yourself through on your shoulders and your hands, till eventually you emerge into a very dank, hot, incredibly putrid-smelling room. And there in the centre is what can only be described as the Serpent Council. It is like, do you know what a rat king is?
Yeah.
So yeah, rat king, for anyone who's watching at home who may not know, is when loads of rats spend too much time in the same area as each other, they can sometimes meld together to make what is commonly called a rat king or a crown of rats. So you'll sometimes see just this collection of rats that have physically fused to each other, and it's exactly the same with the Serpent Council. It's clear that some younger snakes have actually been able to, they can slither away and disappear off in different directions, whereas these guys, the older ones, they're all kind of like compacted together. And as soon as you enter, they've all gone from slithering, trying to move this collective body around, they all stop and turn and stare up at you and go, "Yes, what brings you here?"
All right, there, folks. The Stitcher said that we should pop over and say hello. They said that you would be happy to let us go and visit Jack.
So someone in the chat just said, "Rat King is my 80s hair metal band." They immediately turn to you and they're like, the whole body begins to sort of slither towards you, and it goes, "Friends of the Stitcher, are you?"
Well, passing acquaintances, but they've taken rather fondly to me.
Give me a persuasion. An 11. They seem pretty damn dubious of you, and they sort of begin to sort of slither their body backwards, and they go, "What is it you seek?"
Pop, I'll let you answer this.
That's an excellent question. If only I had quite a knowledge of this campaign and exactly what the question to ask was, but 100% I don't. I don't know, I suppose. What is it that caused you to be here? Excellent question. We were adults that entered the Funhouse. We entered the maze mirror, and we were bitten by the vampire. And now we live down here. Woe is us! Woe is us! And all of them begin to chant, "Woe is us!" and sway their enormous body back and forth.
My literal nightmare.
So while they're doing that, I'm going to cut back to you guys at the door in front of the makeup brush. It should be unlocked, so you can start to head your way down.
Even though Toshek's cold-blooded, there's a shiver that goes through knowing something weird is going on in that room.
Right. Immediately as you enter, there's another door on your, basically off to the east. and you can hear like a loud coming from inside it.
Can we see anything down there, like straight ahead? Can't see anything.
Oh, you can see the it goes straight the way down, and at the end, what looks like a very sort of plush velvet room. There's a tiny flickering lamp that's sat on a desk, and a series of chairs and a barrel, and a step ladder that goes upwards.
I'm going to look at Toshek. I'm going to glare.
I am. Yeah, I'm going to step in. I'm going to step into the room, crossbow loaded and ready to de-age some people.
Okay, so
I'm going to keep strong. Yeah, I'm going to go down to the what
straight
looks
down.
like straight down to a lovely room.
You guys go past the large industrial noise. You enter the space, and it's very simple but very beautifully put together. And on the wall, there's a picture of Jack in his younger years, and he's performing some street magic. And he just looks like a normal young man. He's actually a little bit dashing. It reads underneath the Fantastic Jack. Touring the Sword Coast, entering city towns near you, is what it reads. And then off to your right-hand side, there's a table with a ledger, and it's got like a rolling sort of desktop, and that's down and closed.
I'm just gonna have a perception and see if there's anything else in the room not already easily apparent.
Right. So you can see that the ladder is off. There's a ladder that sort of goes up. You can tell that it's locked, but also your innate understanding of the layout of this space, it would basically lead you back up into the welcome entrance area where you met with Bubby. So you'd feel that heading in that direction would be of no use in particular. There's something about the desk, though. It's almost as if you can see that there's a small piece of paper sticking out from the corner of it. It's trapped in the rolled desk itself.
I'll point this out to Asha and be like, do you think we can lift part of this and get this piece of paper looks of interest? Just good to note that that's the way out. If we don't want to deal with these kids anymore, there's a way out. I mean,
Asha just looks down at you, turns to the desk, and she's going to prise the top off the lid, roll it back.
Can you give me? Do you want to prise it off, or do you want to attempt to break your way into it?
Is it so? It's a roll top desk. Like I just need to lift.
It's a roll top desk, so you try to lift it, and you find that there's a lock that's holding it down.
Okay, I'm just gonna smash it. In fact, I'm gonna get my one-handed battle axe.
Okay.
Right, I'm gonna take a step back. Like
can you give me
corridor a bit?
Give me an attack roll then, please. Let's do that just to switch it up. 14. I mean, I'd like to say it's the strongest desk in the world. It isn't.
Great.
It smashes into the top and also smashes into the paper that was contained inside. And kind of you see this flurry of paper go out of the top. Reaching in, you can see that there's a small box which just says childhood dreams on it. And then there's a small pack of cards and the writing paper that if you're looking through the pieces of it, you can see that it's there's writing on it that you can't really, you could spend a bit of time trying to put it together if you wanted to, but you can't immediately read it at this stage.
I'm gonna pick up the paper that looks like it matches the edge. I mean, is it? We can't read it because Asha's cut it with her axe.
She smashed it to tiny pieces, correct?
Cool. Yeah, great.
Well,
so I'm gonna pick up the pieces.
Most.
Half at most. I'm gonna pick up the pieces and I'm gonna just keep fiddling with them in my hand whilst casting mending, which will help put them back together into a sensible piece of paper at some point.
Okay, great. Just as a quick aside to the chat, apologies. I know that someone was trying to be helpful there and post a picture of the Snake Council, and it is an amazing picture. You can actually Google it and go and have a quick look. Although do be careful because it might ruin some stuff later in the adventure. The chat is it's disabled for links because of people posting spam on Twitch and things like that. So apologies that you can't share that at the moment, but yeah, do go away and Google it. It's a great image. Okay, so you guys remind me of the action that you just took.
I will the mending cantrip. So I'm trying to put back together the pieces that Asha cut up.
Okay, so describe the magic. Tell me how you put it back together.
Oh, as with everything with Toshek, it just licks. It's like as if you're sending an envelope, a letter. They're just licking the edge and touching it to see if it works, and then licking an edge. and then every now and then they stick together and just keeps like that. I can keep pretending to lick stuff if that helps.
That's great. I mean, I love the way you lick. So you start to piece it all together, and what you can tell is that it's a diary entry, and it begins with it's this very sort of ornate handwriting. Someone who's been very practiced at writing, and you start to realise that it is in fact Jack's diary. We cut back across to the guys who are in the Serpent Council. So, guys, Serpent Council.
Sorry, I was going to say.
The Serpent Council has leaned into you now, and it's pulled the weight of its body quite close, and it comes up to yourself and Pop, and it just sort of simply says, "What is it you desire?"
Oh, to be honest, we want to sort this Jack fella out so we can get the kids back, because it's not on. If it would sweeten the deal in you, like we might be able to turn you. You said you used to be adults. We might be able to turn you to children, whether you'll be child humans or snakelets. That's anybody's game, but we could give it a go.
They look initially, when you start that sentence, they look initially delighted that someone has finally come in to face Jack, and you can see all of their tiny heads kind of nodding in agreement and looking at each other. And then as you're like, "Oh, you could turn into child snake bodies," you see them all go and get a little nervy.
All right, but we don't have to. That's an opt-in thing entirely.
And you see the head of an enormous anaconda come out from the center of the snake council, and it comes very, very close to you guys, and it just goes, "We are so big now that if we were to turn back into human, we would fill this room with blood. But someone must defeat Jack. Someone must end our torment. There are only two ways that we know about to get out. The first is to make a deal with the Stitcher. The second is to disable the barrier and the rift. Aside from that, the only other way that we've seen people do it, they weren't even people, they were children." The anaconda slithers its way back inside.
Well, thank you very much for that. That's really handy. I don't suppose you know how to break past the rifts, do you?
It is powered from somewhere, but we have never seen it.
Right. So this might be a bit of a personal question. Like, are you all attached together?
We are single, yes.
Yeah, right. Okay, so you can't. I was just looking at, this room's got lots of nice little bits and pieces you could just nip off down. But I suppose if you're one sort of big chap, that's not going to be on the cards, is it?
The younger ones of us could escape. The older ones, we would need someone to create a large hole in the wall.
Well, I'm sure we could try ruining something for you, but I don't suppose you fancy sending a couple of your young snakes out just to have a little peek around, see if they can maybe find whatever's powering these rifts, perhaps?
To do so would mean death. Can you give me a roll for persuasion?
Yep. Where do you live, persuasion?
Ooh.
Oh.
I'm going to ask Pop to give one as well, actually, because I think that's something that they would have definitely leapt on, and they would have been contributing to this conversation, even though I wasn't, because I was too busy making myself cough. Let's go! Oh, yeah, get in! Okay.
Get in.
So,
Lads.
Pop sort of steps bravely forwards and says, "I think that you have to send the snakes, because if you don't, well then, you won't ever be ready. No one else is going to come back down here and help other than us, because we're brave adventurers, and we want to help you, because that's what we do." The snakes all sit there and consider for a minute or two. They all slither in and sort of turn inwards, and you can just see this writhing mass of body. And then their heads sort of poke slowly out. You hear a, We have reached an accord. We will search now. You see a lot of the younger snakes disappear off into each of the holes, and they begin to start searching. We cut back to you guys there in Jack's dressing room. Having reassembled the diary, you read the following pages. I miss my darling Frankie so very much. It has been almost 2 years since I started traveling on the road, and we have barely seen each other. It is a hard life, a fulfilling one, but a hard life nonetheless. I take my bag from town to town and unveil the Funhouse for the benefit and beauty of all. But still there is this unbearable loneliness. I've added a few animals to the menagerie, a hippo for upstairs, a werewolf came by recently, and I found a number of simple snakes that come into the place. 2 days ago, I came across a man who believed himself to be one of the finest tailors in the world. He's a little snotty, a little strange, but certainly a talented individual. I have set out designs for a new clown costume for myself. And then last week, the most curious thing happened. I came across this woman named Reva, and she was extraordinary at pulling in an audience. She had a monkey with her and a June box that you would turn the handle on the side of, and music would begin to play, and it was almost as if she could enchant an audience through the doors. Our profits that day were unimaginable. And turning over the next page, there's like a kind of like scrawled writing, and it just says the headaches, so many headaches. And then you turn over another page, and it's Reva's right. I can never really truly be happy until I face what was in my childhood. Only children's laughter could make me happy now. It's children needed here. And then in giant blood letters, children. There's nothing else in the desk apart from a small box that reads Children's Dreams.
Yes, while Toshek was putting the paperback together, I think Asha was having a look at the Childhood Dreams box.
Yeah. You'll find that it's incredibly small and it is locked.
She's just going to hold on to it patiently for a second.
Okay.
She's waiting for Toshek to lick everything, stick it back together, and then read it. And she's having a look at the poster again while he's doing that. She's still holding it. She's waiting. He seems to be reading a lot. And he's done. She just puts her hand out with the tiny box in it.
Do we want to open? Do we want to open it?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna take a small dart made of tiny bones out and try and pick the lock with a dart of tiny bones.
Perfect.
There's a lock on it, isn't there?
Yeah, there is a lock on it. So sleight of hand.
Oh,
it's an 8. You can feel that it.
Didn't I?
Yeah, you can feel that it's sticking, and the dart itself sort of like comes off, and it's sort of stuck inside. Inspecting the box, you can see that it's got like a little envelope, like a little what do you stick letters through in a door? A letterbox. There we go. Like a little letterbox. What do you stick letters through in a door? You got like a letterbox opening, and you could kind of like you could perhaps do something with that.
I mean, entirely out of character, but if only there was a member of your party who was particularly good at tinkering and had very tiny, deft fingers.
Or was a rogue.
Game of the evening. All of a sudden, the pair of you get a nosebleed inexplicably. You hear this sort of like idea come into your head, but you have still had the idea.
Let's not break it. Let's see if someone else can do something of use with this.
Yeah,
great.
I'll take it back and I'll just hold on to it. I'll put it in my satchel.
Don't
know why that.
Satchel.
I don't think I've ever said satchel.
Did you say it very
really?
well?
You've never
satchel.
Satchel. Oh, what a beautiful satchel.
Yeah, it just sort of happened.
Okay.
I'd like to go back along the hallway towards that loud room.
Okay, great.
Same.
as you guys reach the doorway for there, we're going to cut back to the Serpent Council, and you see all of the younger snakes sort of slither in, and they become a part of the body, and there's a lot of. And then the anaconda's head comes back out from the top, and it comes towards you guys, and it goes, "We have made a discovery. There is a room we cannot enter. Down towards Jack's dressing room. That is the only room we have never seen. You should investigate there."
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much.
And Pop goes, "Thank you, Serpent Council. You've been incredibly helpful." And just before you start to go, the anaconda sort of departs back into the body for a second, and then it comes back up again. And it moves towards you, Eel. And it gives you a small trinket of a pocket watch. And it just says to you, "This may come in handy."
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much. I'll just pocket that for the time being.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So you guys, what do you want to do? Do you want to leave this location? And
Yeah, I think Eel would certainly like to leave this, and I'm fairly sure that Pop would be quite pleased to come along with.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So I'm going to say that you guys all head back together, and you end up stood in front of the door. And what we're going to do is, I'm just going to shimmy you guys over there, and we are going to go and take a quick break. So everyone, now is a good time to go use the toilet. A cigarette or a libation, if that is using. And let's meet you back here in 10 minutes. So that's 8:30. Guys, thank you so much
Lovely.
for being in. Do give us suggestions in the chat of anything that you would like our characters to cover, and I'm going to come up with something silly for us to come back with in the beginning. Before we go for the break, one very quick thing. Do remember to tune in to Sabotage the DM's other show that is also on, which is on Monday nights, and if I could pronounce it correctly this week, after too many drinks last week, I wasn't able to. It is Waterdeep Mole Rats, and it's exploring the a group of children who have joined the Atlantis Institute for Unfortunate Children, and they are exploring many adventures that are known across D&D itself, like, for example, Tuba Pie. Please do tune in. That's on Mondays from 4 till 7. Guys, meet us back here, 10 minutes. Look forward to seeing you then.